And on the topic of losing the dressing room, I feel like it's pretty hard to ignore the fact that Ten Hag and Sancho's relationship did not look good at all. And in the summer, when we thought things could be resolved, they were not resolved. And I feel like that was one of the other signs. Before Amorim became the manager at Sporting, they hadn't won the league in over 18 years. And in the last 5, they've won it twice. When talking about Manchester United, where do we even begin? We all know how horrible last season was, but at least that season ended on a positive note, beating Manchester City to win the FA Cup. Manchester United had a very hopeful summer with signings that you could look at and say, you know what, some of these players could be here for a long time, like Matthias de Ligt, Lenny Yoro, and Xerxes. There was a lot of things to be hopeful about. Oh, and let's not forget about Ugarte. So you could see that there was, although last season was horrible, the end of last year and the summer brought a lot of momentum and a lot of hope for Manchester United fans, for Manchester United players, for the manager, for everyone involved with the club coming to the season. And that is why it's so surprising that we are in November. It's only the 9th of November and Ten Hag has been sacked and Manchester United currently sit as 13th in the Premier League table. And to be honest, I'm also not hopeful about the Europa League chances at all. So what happened? Where did everything go wrong? And how did Manchester United go from a promising start, or at least a promising summer, to being the worst team in the Premier League right now, at least when you take expectation into account? If we then look at Manchester United start of the season, the game against Tottenham is hard to ignore, where Manchester United lost 3-0 against Tottenham and only managed to get 2 shots on target. Manchester United would get the first few points against Brentford, but by then the signs were pretty clear. Something was terribly wrong with this team. And to be honest, I was one of the few people that was trying to ignore the signs. For example, at the time we had footy experts with Yusuf, and he was telling me every single episode that this team was not going to go far. You'd go around the fandom, guys like Saeed TV, they would be telling everyone this is not going to work. And I'm just naming these 2, but there were so many other people saying that Ten Hag had to be sacked there and then. I was a bit more hopeful. I thought Ten Hag was going to be able to figure things out, but as we know, he's been sacked and it was probably the right decision to make. And again, remember how I said Manchester United had a very good end to last year? Well, let's not ignore the fact that last year's season was completely terrible. Not only did Manchester United end up missing out on Champions League spots, their performance in the Champions League was also terrible. And a lot of the signs we saw last year were being present at the start of the season. I was just one of the few people that decided to ignore it. Or maybe, you know, for those of us that chose to believe in Ten Hag, maybe it wasn't the fact that we were ignoring it. Maybe it was the fact that we were tired of losing year after year after year and we just wanted something to believe. Last year, Manchester United finished 8th in the Premier League, behind Newcastle and behind Aston Villa. Last year, Manchester United finished 8th, behind the likes of Aston Villa and behind the likes of Newcastle. And I bring out those 2 teams because we all know the traditional top 6 of City, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool. However, last year, it showed why the Premier League is still one of the best leagues in the world. Yes, City were dominant as per usual, but that's really down to Pep Guardiola. But the fact that Aston Villa and Newcastle were part of the mix goes to show that the competition in the Premier League is not dead yet. And last year showed that teams like Aston Villa can outperform the rest of the league and leave out teams like United in 8th place. And the signs were really there last year. And the worst part is that, for me at least, you didn't even have to look very hard to see the mistakes that Ten Hag was making, to see where Ten Hag was losing the dressing room, to see the mistakes he was making in game, the poor substitutions, going with players that had no business playing, leaving out players like Amad Diallo not in the team. The signs were there, playing Casemiro as a centre-back. There were so many signs, and you know, part of the reason why I gave Ten Hag the benefit of the doubt this year is because of that. The fact that Ten Hag had to deal with so many injuries last year, some of the decisions he made were out of character. This decision was made out of character, so perhaps that's the reason why I gave him another chance, because he dealt with a lot last year. He dealt with losing players in the summer, he dealt with Jadon Sancho, he dealt with injuries, he dealt with a lot last year, and for him to turn it all around against City, it showed a lot of character. However, coming to the season, those mistakes kept coming up again and again and again, and then people began to ask questions like, there's no one injured right now. There's no major injuries that can impact the team. Why are we still playing the same way? Why are we still playing the same pragmatic football? We are creating chances. Why aren't our forwards scoring goals? And on the topic of losing the dressing room, I feel like it's pretty hard to ignore the fact that Ten Hag and Sancho's relationship did not look good at all. And in the summer, when we thought things could be resolved, they were not resolved. And I feel like that was one of the other signs where some of us thought that the season was going to be different, but it was going to be a clean start. I feel like Sancho leaving kind of was one of those early signs that we were going to get more of the same this year with Ten Hag. So where do we go from here? United are 13th. They have a goal difference of -3 with 9 goals scored and 12 conceded. They have one of the worst records in the league, and again, I'll continue to say this. Right now, Manchester United are the worst team in the Premier League because of how much they spend on players, how much the players are worth, the investment put into the team, the size of the club. When you put all of these things together, Manchester United are the worst team in the Premier League. And it looks like they have identified sporting manager Ruben Amorim as the replacement for Erik ten Hag. And now, I just want to give Amorim his flowers, and Amorim has done a fantastic job with Sporting ever since he came into the team. Before this, if you didn't know, Sporting hadn't won the title in over 18 years. Before Amorim became the manager at Sporting, they hadn't won the league in over 18 years, and in the last 5, they've won it twice. So that goes to show that Amorim can make changes, but even then, I thought that ten Hag could make changes, and if you compare ten Hag's resume against Amorim's resume before they came to United, ten Hag's is much, much better, and the brand of football ten Hag plays, at least before he came to United, what in my opinion was better than what Amorim's currently is. But then maybe that's the issue where you're trying to fit the way a manager plays to the team, whereas the manager should be fitting the way he plays to the players that he currently has. And I feel like if Amorim can do that, he can be successful at United. So for conclusion, I'll tell you right now, I don't know what's going to happen. I usually have a nice conclusion to these videos. I usually can bring up some type of solution to these videos, whether I'm talking about the WNBA, or I'm talking about Formula 1, or I'm talking about the NBA or the Premier League or whatever sports league it is, or whatever sports topic it is. I can usually come down to a conclusion and look at things to be positive about. But right now, at Manchester United, I can't find anything to be positive about, and I can't find the solution going forward. The only thing United fans can do, the only thing we can do is have faith in this team, because it is horrible right now. The style of football is horrible, the results we are getting is horrible, and the projections for the end of the season are also horrible. In my opinion, there isn't really much to be hopeful about into the end of the season. Thank you very much for watching until the end. You're much appreciated. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Do all these things to please help me grow this channel. And as per usual, I'll see you soon.